Hi everyone, glad to meet you again in our lesson about another literary movement. Today we'll try to highlight the third major movement in literature, which is realism. So after seeing the two previous movements, which are classicism and romanticism, today we will try to highlight the historical conditions of the emergence of this movement and also its main principles. So in fact this movement, which is realism as its name implies, is concerned with what? The portrayal of reality in arts, portrayal of reality in arts in general and in literature in particular. Now, it came as a reaction, against that sentimental, or that romantic sentimentalism and idealism. So for the realistic, or the realist writers and artists, there was a kind of exaggeration, in focusing mainly on the emotional side of the human being and also on his imaginative faculty, and ignoring and neglecting his reality. That's why this movement came to address this defect and to emphasize the importance of portraying the reality as it is, without any kind of sentimental exaggeration or any kind of romantic idealism. We must stick to reality for these realist artists and writers. Now, this movement developed in France in the mid-19th century, with the publication of a very important book, which is La Comédie Humaine by Honoré de Balzac in France in 1860. Publication of this book represents the open or the official beginning of this movement, and after that it soon the movement spread from France to England, to Russia, the rest of Europe, then to the United States. So this movement, as you see here, was concerned with presenting the reality and portraying it through art, through depictions of art or literature. Now, that's why critics tend to define it as the truthful representation of reality. When we say truthful, we mean objective, The truthful representation of reality, or what we call verisimilitude. So, this movement also attempts to, depict and describe in details the daily life, the everyday life, with all its complexities, with all its complexes, with all its contradictions, with all its paradoxes also. So here, the artist or the writer is supposed or is required to portray reality as it is, without any insertion or involvement of any kind of idealism, or that sentimental, and imaginative treatment of reality. It must be truthful and objective, treatment and portrayal of reality as it is, without exaggeration. So this movement, as we said, is concerned with the everyday life, and that's why it became very popular, and it prospered and flourished, especially in the 20th century, especially in the United States, right? In the first half of the 20th century, it boomed, it flourished in America, right? Due to many reasons, and causes, right? And causes. Mainly at the time, the United States witnessed, rapid growth after the Civil War, which occurred between 1861 and 1865. So society was changing, right, quickly and rapidly, with the expansion of cities, with the creation of many new phenomena, at the level of human society, right, which became more complex, more contradictory, with a lot of hardships, a lot of troubles, a lot of new circumstances, that should be portrayed and presented, realistically through art. Also, another important factor which led to the rise of this movement in America, the increasing rates of democracy and literacy, especially with the spread of printing, right, newspapers and magazines. People became literate, they could read, and this habit, of reading became popular, right, and also people became more interested in learning about their social issues, social concerns, social, right, problems, right, instead of only focusing on their inner and closed world of feelings and emotions, Also, another important factor, which is the rapid growth of urbanism and industrialism, right, which also led to the creation of many social problems, many social classes, creation of many social classes. There was a kind of conflict between the classes, the poor, the rich, the cities, the suburbs, and so on. So all these circumstances, needed to be portrayed, understood, by the audience, of course, through realistic literature, realistic art, not an imaginative or sentimental one, Also, another factor which is very important, it is the growth of the American population due to immigration, with that overpopulation in America at the time, with different races, different, cultural backgrounds, there was a host of also phenomena to be covered, a host of social issues, right, shared, and which were also points of intersection between different ethnicities, and also points of divergence. So all these also needed to be right, or were needed to be covered through art and through a realistic, art and movement, which is realism. Also, another important factor, which is, in addition to the growth of population, we have also the rise of the middle class influence. Society now turned from that rural, society into that industrial, right, society in which the working class or the middle class, was the dominant class at that time. And this, working class or middle class, had a lot of effect, right, on society, right, had a lot of troubles, hardships, atrocities, a lot of, ordeals, which were need also to be covered, in a realistic piece of writing. That's why this movement emerged and appeared strongly, and flourished mainly in America at that time. So all these, circumstances and all these causes led to the rise of the interest of the readers, okay, and the audience, okay, in understanding all these rapid shifts. Okay, society was living rapid and swift fluctuations and changes at all levels. Okay, educational, cultural, social, and so on, and many social ones. And these, okay, were really, okay, very important things, okay, to cover and to highlight and represent through art. That's why, okay, the realist artists and writers try to portray this reality with all its atrocities and complexities, to make it more, if you can say, accessible, okay, and well grasped to the audience of readers. Now, this movement, which is realism, of course, has its own principles, its own axes, its own, I don't know if I can say, features, right, which characterize it and distinguish it from the other movements. Okay, now while classicism, okay, focuses on reason and logic, okay, and romanticism focuses on emotions, feelings, okay, and also imagination, realism is concerned mainly with what we call verisimilitude, which is the truthful and objective representation of reality. Okay, the truthful and the objective representation of reality. This is the first, okay, concern of this movement. Also, realism emphasizes, okay, if you can say, the quotidian and the commonplace. It means daily life, all right, quotidian, the common life, common rhythm and stream of life, and also the commonplace. I mean the very often happening, okay, events and incidents in society, okay, in society and in reality. So here the material of realism is not feelings, is not the reason alone, but it is, okay, that or those, we can say, daily life circumstances, issues, troubles, conditions, okay, that need to be, okay, covered in this art. Also, in this movement, which is realism, we find a great interest, okay, and emphasis is paid and attention to characters. So here in realism, the characters are more important than the plot and action. And we said that here the main concern of this movement is the middle class, I mean working class, right? Here the writers of fiction mainly, okay, realist fiction, they focus mainly on depicting, okay, the characters, all right, and their conditions, and their also, I don't know, mindsets, right, and their reactions with regard to their social network of relations. Okay, so here the individual or the middle class is, you can say, the epitome, right, epitome with regard to his social network of relations, and also those circumstances and conditions which affect him and influence him. Also, in addition to this, we have another important principle of this movement or feature is the interest in the middle class, okay, and its daily life, all right, struggles and conflicts, all right. For example, here we can mention the novel of Germinal by Emile Zola and those troubles, okay, and hardships the miners went through, okay, when they went on strike against, okay, their employers, right? Here we have a kind of this representation of those working class characters, okay, and their hardships. Also, we have that kind of emphasis on if you can say, emphasis on that detailed descriptions. Okay, so here in realism we find detailed descriptions of reality. Okay, detailed descriptions of reality, right, of this reality and its hardships too, right, and circumstances and conditions. Also, another important feature for this movement, we find also that use, or the speech of this movement is vernacular and idiomatic. Vernacular and idiomatic. It is stemmed from the reality itself, from the reality of the characters. So here the writer is required to what? Portray the reality as it is. It must be a truthful and objective portrayal. Clear. Even the language itself, should be kept as it is. Alright. That colloquial language, spoken by the characters in their daily life. Why? To create that kind of objectivity and that kind of truthful representation. Without any kind of decoration or any kind of idealism. We have to here portray, the realistic, life as it is. Even with the language, which is the main medium, of communication, between the characters, and their social, environment. That's why the writer here in realism tends to keep the speech, of vernacular and idiomatic expressions, as they are in his piece of literature. Also, we have another important this also issue of vernacular and reminds us of the language used by Mark Twain in his novels, and also William Faulkner. Both of them, use another important offshoot of this movement, which is regionalism. They focus on the regional dialect, of the characters and portray it as it is in their novels. Also, another important feature of this movement is, we said, this movement is concerned mainly with the present issues, the present facts, the present truth. That's why we find in Charles Dickens's Hard Times, which represents one of the best examples and novels of realism, that his characters always emphasize the word facts. So here, this movement of realism emphasizes present issues, present truths and facts instead of the past issues, instead of returning to the past, and its glory, like what classicism, does. Also, in this movement and its literary works, we find that the widely used point of view is the omniscient point of view. The omniscient narrator. It means godlike, godlike narrator, who is an all-knowing, all-seeing narrator, who narrates the events from, you can say, an objective and separate point of view, as if he is above, the scene of actions, and he tells us about everything, in the novel, and in the events of the novel, and even everything about, the characters, their ideas, their feelings, and their inner also intentions too. This just to show that, this movement tends to portray everything objectively, and also tends to have that kind of comprehensive portrayal of reality, all-knowing, omniscient, everything, all the conditions of the social reality, and their connections also are portrayed and also displayed in its literature. Also, we have another important feature of this movement, which is very important. It is the objective representation. Now this objective representation of the reality, social reality, and the characters, focuses mainly on also psychological side of the characters. Psychology of the characters, and it is a very detailed description here we find of the characters and their daily life, moment by moment, events, moves, and actions. Because we know, that at the beginning of the 20th century also, we have the rise of what we call psychoanalysis, thanks to Sigmund Freud and his two also students, Alfred Adler and also Carl Jung, those who really contributed to the boom and to the flourishment of psychoanalysis, okay, and to shift the attention of the intellect and also the theorists and thinkers to the psychological side of the character, okay, and his social belongingness and his network of social relations, okay, social relations from a psychological perspective, okay, because psychology plays a very important role, okay, to determine, okay, the real role of the character in his society, especially the middle class, which represents one class, okay, one class, which are similar in many aspects. All right. Also, we said that for Romanticism, okay, for them, poetry was the highest form of art. Classicism, we say, they focused mainly on drama, okay. Now, for this movement, realism, it was, or it is portrayed, and it is represented mainly, okay, by the novel and fiction in general, by the novel. Okay, so the novel is the major literary form, okay, which represents this movement, and it also helped spread this movement all over the world, thanks to those novels which were dealing with different social issues, social problems, which were common points, which were shared by all the middle class people of the world, working class people of the world, okay, and their counterparts, okay, in all regions of the world. Clear? So people now preferred, okay, especially at the beginning of the century, okay, and even today also, to read those realistic pieces of literature because they reflect their reality. Through them they understand their reality, right? And they see it truthfully and objectively portrayed, okay, and displayed in the form of art. Also, another important feature of this movement that it has a lot of offshoots. Okay, this movement is one of the major literary movements in the 20th century, and out of it there were a lot of many other important offshoots and movements. We have, for example, naturalism, also regionalism, also we have dirty realism, magical realism, all right, and many other also offshoots and movements, all right, and all these works, of course, were devoted to portray and represent, okay, the reality with its conditions, its hardships, and its paradoxes and circumstances and ordeals, okay, as they are, all right, as they are, without, exaggerating in focusing on the reason, nor, okay, devoting, okay, the feelings and the emotions that we can say higher value, okay, higher value with regard to reality. So here, this movement tends to just draw our attention, okay, and point out to the fact that, yes, human being, okay, consists of mental side, reason and logic and mind, and also feelings and emotions, okay, and romantic sensations, yes, but also there is still another, okay, important factors which are outside this dichotomy of reason and, okay, emotion, which is his reality and his environment, which embraces him every day, and we need to portray it in art and literature. Okay, we must sometimes, if you can say, get out of that, okay, issues which are stuck to the individual himself, and try to explore him, okay, as an element within his social network, clear, his social network. So these are the major, if you can say, features and characteristics of this movement. Now, concerning the literary works which were produced during this, or from the beginning of this movement, we have a lot of literary works, okay, and which are mainly in the form of fiction and prose, okay, because it is the major form which represented this movement. For example, you can mention Henrik Ibsen, the Norwegian, writer, who is called the father of realism, with his masterpieces, A Doll's House, his play A Doll's House, and also his other work, which is Ghosts. Can also mention, for example, in England or in France, you can say the founder of this movement with his book La Comédie Humaine, Honoré de Balzac. Also in America we have Henry James with his two masterpieces, also Daisy Miller and A Portrait of a Lady. A Portrait of a Lady. Also we have Charles Dickens in English literature with his novels, and mainly Hard Times, which represents a really that you can say model of realist piece of literature, especially when we find in it always facts. Also we have in French Germinal by Émile Zola, we have also I don't know, many other writers who wrote many books about and novels and short stories which represent and reflect the mood of this movement also. Also we can mention here Germinal, Hard Times, and many other works. Now, before we end this lecture, we just want to enjoy ourselves with another video clip, taken from a filmed story, or the filmed novel of Hard Times, which is a Hard Times story. Hard Times. We'll see how one of the characters here emphasizes, the word facts, just to point out, to the importance of that realistic, if you can say, interest, realistic perspective, the importance of that perspective in arts and in literature, and to be one of the major concerns, of people and of also readers here in this short clip. So, would you please follow with me this, piece of literature, in the audiovisual form.
My own children. And in this school, you'll be brought up in it too. Stick to facts, sir. That is your charge here. Girl number 20. Who is that girl? I don't know that girl.
Sissy Jupe, sir.
Sissy is not a name. Don't call yourself Sissy. Call yourself Cecilia.
But his father always calls me Sissy, sir. He always did.
Then he has no business to do it. Tell him he mustn't. Who is your father?
He belongs to horse riding, if you please, sir.
We don't know anything of the horse riding here. Don't tell us of that. And tell him there must be no more Sissy. Give me your definition of a horse. Girl number 20, unable to define a horse. Girl number 20, possessed of no facts in reference to one of the commonest of animals. Some boy's definition of a horse. Yours.
Quadruped, graminivorous, 40 teeth, namely 24 grinders, 4 eye teeth and 12 incisors. Sheds coat in spring, and in marshy countries sheds hooves too. Hooves hard and requiring to be shod with iron. A horse, sir.
Cecilia Jupe.
The last element in this lecture is about the major topics of this movement. So, this movement also has its own distinctive topics, right? So, it's not, of course, concerned with that representation of, the emotional side of the human being, and his feelings, and his imagination, and, doesn't express also only his inner feelings, and sensations, like romanticism. It's not also concerned with showing that glorious, and heroic deeds of a character, right, and also his glorious history and battles and so on, like classicism. So this movement has its own topics. We have the first major topic is the city. The city, because city is the environment or the setting which witnesses and embraces all those social fluctuations, changes, hardships, circumstances, and conditions, which are going to be portrayed in this literature. All right, in this literature, so this city is one of the major topics because, as we said, it is, if you can say, that container, right, of all this reality, and of that social and and daily hardships, and so on. So here we can say that the city takes the, if you can say, a big share in this movement. We can mention some examples, for example, of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, one example, right? Also, we have here another topic which is very important, which is the class conflict. We said that the major concern of this movement also is middle class and its contradictions. Daily life, troubles, hardships, circumstances. So there is a kind of conflict, of struggle between the social strata, middle class and the other classes, the individual with regard to his social relations and social bonds is also in conflict, right? And everything here is portrayed and represented objectively and truthfully, right? Truthfully in this movement. Also we have philosophy and morality is emphasized here also as another important topic, right? So realist writers also do not ignore the moralistic side, of art, and they tend always to, if you can say, portray it with regard to its relation to the social, right? Social conditions, social relations, and the everyday paradoxes, circumstances, and so on. Morality is very important here also in this movement. Finally, and also we have marriage and family. Places a very important, or takes a very important place and position in realistic movement because it is concerned with society and the nucleus or the main unit of society is the family. That's why it is portrayed in details and described thoroughly in little details, just to, if you can say, portray it, represent it as an epitome of that social network of relations. So these are generally the major topics and the major interests as topics for this movement and its writers and artists. Thanks so much for your attention, hoping that we have covered properly, and also concisely and precisely, if you can say, all what concerns this movement and its distinctive features. Thank you so much, and glad to see you again in another lesson. Take care.